Lilydale is the ethical chicken choice. The brand offers poultry from free-ranging chickens. Its marketing highlights the grass on which its hens are said to roam. But Lateline can reveal tonight that Lilydale's producer, Baiada, is under investigation over claims of unethical treatment of its majority migrant workforce. Workers are complaining they're being bullied into accepting below-award wages and that they're being forced to work excessive hours. Karen Barlow reports, and Alison McClymont was the producer.
This is how free-range poultry products are made. Plump chickens whiz by on rapidly rotating production lines. Workers man their stations and repeat simple tasks over and over. While the free-range birds may have had the run of the coop, the workers have a different story about their treatment at their workplace.
People are being treated like they are not human, and people are not respected most of the time.
I feel sad and I've got goosebumps that it's in Australia.
The Lilydale free-range brand belongs to the Baiada Group, Australia's largest chicken processor, which also owns Steggles. Hundreds of thousands of chickens go through Baiada's Adelaide factory every week. Lilydale and Steggles are proud brands. So why are their workers, who had just started for the day, running from the factory?
Some cars have just pulled up, driven by people who we believe are supervisors, and a group of Chinese women, young Chinese women that probably started work an hour ago, just literally ran out of the factory, jumped in the back of these cars and drove off. It was quite remarkable.
The unions had just served the Adelaide processor with a right to enter order. After some roadside legal argument, the factory had to let them in. This is the first time under current industrial laws that union officials have been allowed a surprise inspection of a workplace. The National Union of Workers had given Fair Work Australia a petition and signed statements from a third of the workforce here, stating they'd been working under harassment, poor pay and fear. No current worker would speak on camera, but Lateline has seen those statements. Here's a sample of their claims.
I believe I have been underpaid since I've started employment at Adelaide Poultry.
I have seen workers bullied and shouted at work.
I used to be a supervisor, but I was demoted when I insisted workers be allowed a break after 16 hours.
I have been told if we join the union, the company will be unhappy and we could lose our jobs.
The majority of the 300 workers are recent immigrants or people on work or student visas. And according to the union, this is how they're referred to by management.
Fresh workers means new arrivals to Australia. The fresh workers means cheap workers. Cheap, fresh chickens on the supermarket shelf and cheaper, fresher workers in the factory.
Anyon Mabia is no longer a fresh worker. He came to Australia from the civil war in Sudan. After 4 years at Baiada, he says he was sacked last month for complaining about racism by supervisors.
I was called a black can, black shade, dumb, and everything that has spoken to me. And I just obeyed for the sake of getting money to solve my problems.
Workers say they're afraid to raise problems at the factory, even something as small as not getting a pay slip. And Anyon Mabir claims he and other Adelaide poultry workers have experienced on-site punishments, in his case for refusing to use a forklift in what he says was an unsafe manner. He says he was taken to a termination site where they stunned chickens using gas.
They took me there for just a punishment, to make me feel like I've done something wrong. And that's when I look like, is it how everyone is treated in Australia? Or is it because all the workers here are migrant? Yeah.
How long were you sent there for?
I worked there for 30 minutes and I was really very sick.
What happened to you?
I feel like I'm contaminated by the gas because I inhaled some gases and give me a lot of coughing and she gave me a lot of dizziness until when I leave the job and run to my doctor. And I was given some medication by then.
Anyon Mabir says many of his former colleagues can't speak English and feel they cannot earn a living anywhere else. Some are employed at the factory through a labour hire company. Those workers may be on visas, limiting how many hours they can work.
They let people work like 40 hours per week, and they are not getting money for those hours. When your 8 hours finished, they ask you to clock off and go back onto the premises to go and continue working. Yet you have already clocked off. Yeah. So if you are required to work 8 hours, you work your 8 hours. When your 8 hours finish, the supervisor come and say, go and clock off. When you clock off, he said, go back onto the company, go and work there. If the person asks, why do I? Yet I have already clocked off. Am I going to get paid for these extra hours? They say, you either do it or don't come tomorrow.
Workers have told the union the company name on their pay slips has recently been changing every week, and they say the rate of pay has been changing. The union says pay slips show the workers are often being paid below award wages and without some basic conditions like breaks and sick pay.
This concerns us because, it looks to us like it could be companies shifting their liabilities. You can get away with underpaying people for a certain amount of time. The best idea before you get caught is to change your company structure and maybe your ABN so that if any investigation happens, well, maybe the previous company didn't exist.
The parent company, Baiada, has had workplace trouble before. 7 years ago, this processing centre outside Melbourne was raided by immigration, customs, federal police, taxation officials and Centrelink. Workers were being paid half the hourly rate they should have and were also being told to collect Centrelink payments. Baiada claimed it was entirely the fault of labour hire companies.
The company more or less claimed that they were a victim in that situation, that they didn't know what was going on, that contractors had basically constructed this situation and wow, we're really surprised that all that was going on. You can only claim that ignorance once.
The Immigration Department would not comment specifically on Baiada, but it says allowing a non-citizen to work in breach of visa conditions is a criminal offence. It says any employer who knowingly or recklessly employs an illegal worker can face prosecution.
The allegations are very serious and they need to be investigated, and I believe Fair Work is doing that. And I also believe the state government is aware of the situation as well and is keeping an eye on the site.
The Fair Work Ombudsman has confirmed its involvement.
The Fair Work Ombudsman is investigating complaints against Baiada Poultry Proprietary Limited in Wingfield. As the investigation is ongoing, it's not appropriate to comment further at this time.
Baiada's Managing Director, John Camilleri, declined an on-camera interview, but via email said Baiada pays award or above award wages to all of its employees. Lateline asked Mr Camilleri if some workers at his Adelaide plant were being forced to work beyond the hours mandated by their visa. He said that's illegal and Baiada complies with the law. Mr Camilleri also denied workers are being forced to work long hours without breaks and are being discouraged from joining unions and making work cover claims. The Managing Director also denied the existence of a termination site at the factory and said claims of punishment for complaining are, quote, incorrect. Karen Barlow, Lateline.
And the full response from the Baiada Group will be available on Lateline's website.